Bring your attention to your body and the space your body is occupying, the space all around your body. Notice your sensory perceptions, the air on your skin, the sounds in the ears, the sounds in the room, outside the room, the sound of my voice. And notice the breath. As you're noticing the inhale, it feels a bit cooler as it flows over the membranes of the nostrils, and a bit warmer as it flows out. Notice the rhythm and the pattern of the breath. The breath is a good clue as to how it is that we're feeling. Nervous system, thoughts, emotions, all of those are reflected in the breath and can be affected by the breath. Scan your body from head to toes. Notice what sensations are present. If there's muscular contraction someplace, if the body feels relatively relaxed. Notice your experience in your body right now from head to toes. And touch in with what it is that's observing your body from head to toes. What it is that's noticing the sensory perceptions, the subtle energy in the body, the sensations or feelings. We'll touch back into this space in which this content is being seen from, the space in which it's all arising. It's all the same space. Sometimes when we're really engaged in thought, we forget that it's thought that's happening. So during the practice, we'll touch back in with that, be mindful of that. That we have this whole space in which all of this is arising. And there's this layer of thought that may be quite busy, might be quite calm. What we know for sure about thought is that the experience changes all the time. And that we don't really control our thoughts in the sense of when we're just sitting noticing thought, we don't really know what's going to come along next. We don't really know, we can't pre-plan our thoughts. Okay, when this thought comes along, I'm going to follow it because I know what the next thought will be. That's not how thought works. So bring your attention to your head and to your forehead and eyebrows. And then move your attention or your awareness back a couple of inches into the very center of your head. So we're not really feeling sensation in the brain. We're more just bringing our attention to where thought generally shows up for us to notice it. So we can notice that we're watching thought. We're hearing it. Oftentimes thought comes in like a not quite verbal sound. The words kind of show up in that area. And that there are associations with thought. And those associations depend on our experiences, on how big of an impact previous experiences had, if we feel safe, if we feel unsafe. when we've been triggered or hooked by something, our thought processes tend to be more compulsive. Keeping some awareness on the breath and on the body and on the space in which all of this is being observed. We can keep coming back to this, noticing that thoughts are arising. Thoughts have two components. They come as words and as images. Sometimes the words seem to come first, or they have more of a draw. We pay attention to the words more. Other times the images seem stronger, and sometimes they're so interconnected that they just feel like they're one. So for a few minutes, let's pretend that we're sitting on a train platform on a bench, and there's several tracks in front of us just at the edge of the train platform. And let's watch thoughts as they come up in the mind, as though these are thoughts that are coming through as rail cars. Some are going to come through as a single rail car, some are going to stop, some are going to speed through. Some might come in with a whole train of thoughts. So imagine that you're sitting on a train platform on a bench. Let's take a moment to watch as thoughts come and go. Sometimes we might notice that our attention has gotten onto the train and we're way off in the distance. And that's just a natural process that happens at times. So if you notice that, bring yourself back. Come back into that position of the observer, watching thoughts roll in, and pause between thought at times. And keep part of your attention on your body, your physical body from head to toes, and that space the body is occupying. And notice if there's any energy or sensation that seems to be associated with any of the thoughts that are coming through. And when that's the case, bring your attention to that as well. Noticing that there are thoughts and there are responses to thought. from this perspective of the observer. Notice how we engage with thought. There's nothing wrong with us because thoughts come and go in the mind. And there's nothing wrong because some thoughts have a lot of hook on them and we get really involved for a while. That's a natural process of how this works. You can stay with the train platform exercise or let that go. However it best works for you is fine. Continue to watch as thoughts arise. Notice that words kind of show up in the mind, in the brain area somewhere there. Images come through. When we're noticing images, we can look at color and light and shape. We see them kind of in the mind's eye. Sometimes we feel like we're right in the middle of a video clip or a scene. It's like we're looking out of our own eyes and we're right in the middle of that memory or that thought that's coming up as an image. If that's the case, notice that that's happening. We can also take a step back and see it more like a video or a scene that's unfolding that we're watching. We might even see ourselves in the scene if we're there. One of the ways that we get hooked into engaging in a picture in a way that feels like we're re-experiencing it is by having our sight at that intimate level of we're right in the scene looking out. So it can be helpful to take that step back and notice that there's an image here. And we're having some experience with that image. We're watching it, we're noticing it. We might be having a response to it in our bodies. There might be some sensation or feeling that comes up as we're looking at it. We can notice that we're not actually in the situation that we're looking at, this image that might be there. We're actually sitting and watching thought as it comes. Thought coming up as words or images. We're noticing that. When we pay attention to sensation, we can notice on several levels what's happening with sensation. One is that it's showing up in a certain area of our body. We can notice that it's in that area and that there's space all around that sensation. It's like a full moon in the sky. We can see the moon and we can also see the space all around the moon. So a sensation shows up in a particular location. And sensation always has attributes. Sometimes there's an image that goes with it. Sometimes it generates thought. But there's also the sensation itself. Does it have it like it has a temperature? Does it have an image? Does it have a color? Does it feel really dense? Does it feel light? Noticing those kinds of qualities of a sensation can help us to get to know that experience. We also might see that we're judging ourselves for having it, or we might have thoughts like, oh no, here it is again. We might be able to hold space for that to be seen, other times no. Notice your whole experience. Thought coming in as words and images. Notice that we hear words and see images. Notice that we feel sensation, and often labels like this feels like sadness, or this feels like fear, or some other words might come up. Sensation and thought are linked together. And just as we don't control what thoughts, and we can't predict this is what I'm going to be thinking 7.5 minutes from now, or this is what I plan to be feeling. These are all coming up through some process of its own, and we're watching and noticing. Notice the space in which all of this is arising. Notice what it is that's unchanging. And when you're ready, open your eyes and continue the observation as you bring in the colors and light and images from what you're seeing. Remaining aware of the observing that's happening, of the connections and responses that are being made with the eyes open. And notice we can carry this way of looking and noticing out into the day.